Hello and welcome back to another edition of EDFL Web TV. My name's Adem Saricaoglu. We're here at Essendon Ford because it is grand final week. Essendon Ford Division 1 grand final between Essendon Due Stars and Craigieburn. That's on Sunday. And on Saturday, it is Hadfield and Jacana that are playing for this little baby right here. It is going to be a massive weekend of EDFL football. And of course, a prelim in Strathmore Community Bank Premier Division at Coburg between Greenvale and Cubillo. The winner plays Aberfeldie in the Strathmore Community Bank Premier Division Grand Final. Earlier in the week, I caught up with the Aber's captain, Josh Cubillo. Yeah, it was another big win for the Aberfeldie Football Club on the weekend, through to their third successive grand final, and the skipper of Aberfeldie, Josh Cubillo, joins me on EDFL Web TV. Josh, congratulations, mate. Another big one for your boys in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, another grand final. So, yeah, we're all up and about, a bit excited about it. Just to wait now.
Big second half against Greenvale on the weekend, but it seemed like a pretty tough slog in pretty tough conditions. How have the boys pulled up?
Yeah, the boys have pulled up reasonably well. As you said, pretty testing conditions. We knew Greenvale were going to come out really hard, which is what they did. And, you know, we had a plan. And we just stuck to the process, and I think that sort of played itself out in the second half.
Really devastating news to come out of that game. Obviously, Reece Moylan, a broken leg, we understand. Never a good time for that thing to happen, but especially on the eve of a grand final. So I'm sure the boys have got around Reece, who I understand has just had his surgery.
Yeah, there's always a bad luck story, and unfortunately, it's Reece Moylan this time. And you know, it happened while he was going about his business, as he normally does, going hard for the ball. And, you know, took what was coming, and unfortunately ended up with a concussion and a broken leg. But, yeah, the boys gotten around him, and, you know, he's in high spirits, and he's just hoping that, you know, we can go one better this year. All the best
to Reece, obviously. But, look, big grand final is coming up. You don't know your opponent just yet, but I understand some of the boys got down to Windy Hill on Sunday to watch Keilor beat Pascoe Vale, and obviously Greenvale could be your other opponent as well. So it's obviously going to be a pretty tough day for Aberfeldie, whoever you come up against on the big day.
Yeah, no doubt. You know, two very fierce competitors there in Keilor and Greenvale. So, you know, whoever comes out on top is going to be a massive rival for the grand final, and yeah, we're just very looking forward to it.
Josh, thanks for joining us on EDFL Web TV this week. Enjoy the week off. And obviously we look forward to seeing Aberfeldie run around yet again in the grand final at Windy Hill in 2 weeks' time. We'll find out who your opponent is this weekend at Coburg.
That was Adem Saricaoglu there with Josh Cubillo, and now I am joined by Adam Russell here at Essendon Ford as we look forward to a very exciting weekend of grand final football in the EDFL. Adam, first up, let's start in Strathmore Community Bank Division 2. And how were Jacana at the weekend?
Claire, the Jacka, they're up and about and they're into the grand final. I'm excited. Everyone involved with the football club is excited. What a way to get into the grand final. It was a pretty good win over Roxburgh Park. They were challenged definitely in that second quarter, but guys like Bo Name, Dylan Wolfgram, Michael Evans, and of course Chris Johnson just got around the boys and they got the win in the end. Aaron Collins has to be credited for what he's done with that list to get them into a grand final after where they were 2 or 3 years ago. It's such an impressive effort.
Speaking of Roxburgh Park, there was a time during the game where it really looks like they could do it. What do you think went wrong for them?
Yeah, we spoke about it last week. Glenroy, probably that ground doesn't really suit the way Roxburgh Park like to go about their football. The conditions weren't great either, but the thing that sort of puzzled us on the broadcast was the extra number behind the ball. But Roxburgh Park, now they've got 6 months to question that decision, and after a season it was so close, but so far once again.
Hadfield are extremely deserved winners. What did Jacana have to do to walk away with a win on Saturday?
Yeah, I think Hadfield have to go in favourites in this one, Claire, but you know, with a little bit of confidence behind Jacana, anything could happen. Last time they met, Hadfield got the win by 6 points, but I think a lot has changed since that day. Hadfield have got a lot of their cattle back on the park, and they're probably playing the best 22 that they've got at the moment. So I think Hadfield will get the win by about 4 goals, and Steve Vical is my tip for best on ground.
You were quite confident that Tulla would go all the way this year. What do you think went wrong from them this season?
Yeah, well, in the end, I think Tullamarine, they were simply outplayed Craigieburn, obviously the better team on the day, so credit to Tullamarine. They did get further than a lot expected. Some expected a bit of a drop-off, but it is Craigieburn going into that grand final this week.
And now we are joined by Tim from Essendon Ford, and with him the Essendon Ford Division 1 trophy, which we're very excited to give to one lucky team this weekend, with Nick Fletcher and Josh Young both available to play this weekend at Windy Hill. What will the Eagles have to do to get one up on Essendon Due to Stars?
Yeah, we spoke about Craigieburns' predictability in that first qualifying final. I think bringing back Nick Fletcher, it's another dimension into that forward line. I think that helps them a lot. But I think what they do need that they were missing 2 weekends ago was a little bit of leg speed. I think they need to hit back on Dudas with a bit of rebound and slingshot football. I think that's what's going to get the job done for Craigieburn. But I am tipping Due to Stars. I think they'll win by about 50 points, and Shiloh Smith is my best on-ground tip.
And Tim, can you give us a quick tip as well?
Look, we'll be getting behind Due to Stars, also here at Essendon Ford.
And finally, we haven't forgotten about Strathmore Community Bank Premier Division, and Greenvale only managed to kick 3 goals against Aberfeldie on the weekend. Do you think that they'll be able to turn things around if they meet again in the grand final next weekend?
Yeah, look, Claire, I don't think the conditions were best for football on that Saturday afternoon. Probably wouldn't read into it too much. We do know Greenvale, they've got great scoring prowess up forward, guys like Tom Hill, Trent Shinners and the Marrick brothers, so I think they can definitely put a score on the board if the conditions were a little bit better. But Aberfeldie, they're the big story to come out of this. Challenging for their first A-grade grand final since 1974 after 2 failed attempts in the Premier Division. On the weekend, Angus Graham was really good in the ruck, gave first ball use to his midfielders, guys like Josh Cubillo, Brock McLean, really contested ball use, and I think that's what got them the win on the weekend.
On Sunday's edition of Match of the Day, you saw Keilor take Pascoe Vale to the sword.
Yeah, they certainly did, Claire. In a scintillating third term, Keilor, they managed to kick 10 goals straight, and I think the really impressive thing for me from Cubillo is that they don't have the same big names that maybe a Pascoe Vale or an Aberfeldie do, but they continue to get the results. David Gordis was really good on the weekend. He kicked 6 goals, and Pascoe Vale, they battled valiantly for 3 quarters, but in the end just couldn't get the result. Cubillo on to a prelim final.
Just on Pascoe Vale, they started the year with an absolute bang, but in the end just couldn't keep up. Is that indicative of just how hard it is for some of the lower end of the scale teams to make it in Premier Division?
Yeah, it was a big season for Pascoe Vale. To not make finals for 3 or 4 years and to get back into finals football was impressive by them, but we really saw a big gap in the end. You know, Keilor, the third best team in this competition, really did give them a touch up in the end. So it'll be interesting to see what Pascoe Vale can do next year. The point system comes into play, and some really competitive teams that didn't make finals this year, such as Avondale Heights and Strathmore, are back in contention. So who knows what's in store for next year for Pascoe Vale.
How comfortable did Mick McGuan's men look on Sunday at Windy Hill?
Oh, you mentioned Mick McGuan there, Claire. He's quite the tactician. He's got that Keilor side really well structured. If you were lucky enough to be at the ground on Sunday, Windy Hill, you might have seen a couple of Keilor players hiding behind goalposts, probably straight from the mastermind, Mick McGuan himself. But I think if there's going to be a team that challenges Aberfeldie this season, I think it will be Keilor, but they've got one more big challenge ahead before they get to that grand final.
Well, of course, the other big game coming up on the weekend is Keilor and Greenvale at Coburg City Oval. What are you expecting out of that game? Yeah,
well, last time these two teams met, there was only a kick in it, and Keilor did get the win. But in Greenvale's defence, they did have a couple of key personnel out, and they were inaccurate on that day. But I think Keilor, they're the form team. They've won 10 out of their last 11 games. So Keilor, they've got my tip.
That's it for this week's edition of EDFL Web TV. Make sure to pick up your free copy of the record wherever you are for the football this weekend. We also hope that you have an excellent time and stay safe, and wish the best of luck to all the teams that are involved in grand final matches. Make sure to tune in to us on 98.9 Northwest FM and also Teen App via the live radio button to hear both Division 1 and Division 2 grand finals live as they happen. We'll see you next week here on EDFL Web TV to preview the big one in Strathmore Community Bank Premier Division, and also look back on what will undoubtedly be 2 exciting games of grand final football in Division 1 and Division 2. Thank you, and we'll see you soon.